I surprised my daughter today. That sentence used to mean something good, like sneaking out of work early on a Friday to take her for ice cream. But today, it meant something else entirely. Today it meant peeling the mask off a life I didn't even know was a lie. I had left the office early, one of those rare afternoons where the inbox was quiet and the meetings dried up. Figured I'd beat traffic, grab my little girl from school, and maybe swing by that diner she loves. You know, be a dad, not just the paycheck or the bedtime enforcer. The school's hallways were that typical elementary school blend of crayon, hand sanitizer, and nostalgia. Kids' voices echoed, bouncing off walls covered in finger paint and motivational posters. I signed in at the front desk like usual, got my visitor badge, and waited outside the classroom. That's when her teacher walked over, Miss Halston. Young, bright-eyed, polite in that way people are when they're treading water through awkwardness. "Mr. Jordan, right?" she asked. I nodded, smiling. Relief washed across her face like she'd been holding her breath all day. "Oh good," she said. We were starting to get concerned. "Your wife said, well, that you two were separated." I froze. My ears rang. My smile stayed, but something behind my ribs clenched. "Sorry," I asked, voice casual. Too casual. Miss Halston looked a little embarrassed now. "It's just, on the emergency contact forms, she listed someone else. A man. Said he'd be the one picking up from now on. A Billy. Billy. It didn't even sound real. It sounded like a placeholder in a bad soap opera. But Miss Halston wasn't acting. She was being polite. Careful. I recognized the tone. It's the one people use when they think your whole world's about to cave in, and they don't want to be the ones to nudge it. "Thanks," I said. "Appreciate the heads up." I took my daughter's hand, smiled all the way to the car, listened to her chatter about a math test and a birthday invitation. I nodded and asked questions and laughed when she made a joke I didn't understand. I played the part. Then I tucked her into bed like I always did. Brushed hair off her forehead. Told her she was my world. Meant every damn word. And once she was asleep, I did what I already knew I had to do. I checked my wife's phone. She's not the most tech-savvy person. She uses the same 4-digit code for everything. I stood there in the dark of our bedroom, the glow from the screen lighting up the lies she never thought I'd look for. Hundreds of messages. A thread labeled Billy from work. Some were harmless, at first. Inside jokes. Memes. A few harmless flirts. Then it changed. Photos. Hotel bookings. Conversations that peeled the mask off everything I thought was sacred. And finally, one that stopped my breath cold. He still has no clue. Keep playing the wife role for another month. That was the plan. Drag me along like some dumb ox while they played house behind my back. Another month. They didn't realize I was done being clueless. I didn't rage. I didn't shout. I didn't wake her up and demand answers. I just sat on the edge of our bed, phone in hand, watching her sleep like nothing was wrong. And that's when it happened. Something inside me snapped. Not like glass. Like steel. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to plead. And I sure as hell wasn't going to let this be the end of my story. No, I was going to write a different ending. Calculated. Precise. Quiet. The kind of revenge that doesn't knock. It signs for the package, smiles, and walks away with the truth in hand. I unleashed hell. Not the kind that burns cities. The kind that burns lies. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't toss and turn either. This wasn't heartbreak. It was war prep. While she snored beside me, dead to the world she'd been carefully deceiving, I sat in the living room with the glow of a laptop and the kind of stillness that only comes from total focus. I was done being the fool. Done being the husband who still has no clue. Funny how one sentence can flip your whole identity inside out. First, I screenshotted everything, every message between her and Billy, every photo, every plan. I forwarded it all to a private email I'd set up right then and there. Labeled it, Wife Files. Subtlety wasn't the goal. Precision was. Next came passwords. See, she used the same ones for everything: email, cloud backup, even her old college Facebook account. Within 20 minutes, I had access to her digital soul. What I found didn't surprise me, it just confirmed the depth of her performance. Google Maps history? Dozens of trips to a boutique hotel near her office. Uber receipts? Rides that ended at Billy's place, complete with 2 a.m. timestamps. Her calendar even had a recurring block of time labeled strategy meeting. I'll bet it was strategic. All right. It wasn't just cheating. It was coordinated. Scheduled. And that told me something important. Billy wasn't just a fling. He was the endgame. They were planning a transition. Ease me out. Slide him in. Keep the kid, the house, maybe even some financial padding courtesy of yours truly. That was their mistake, assuming I'd go quietly. I didn't make a scene the next morning. I made pancakes. She walked into the kitchen wearing one of my shirts, smiled like nothing was wrong, kissed my cheek, and said, "You're sweet." And I smiled back. But in my mind, I was already filing paperwork. Before I left for work, I made 2 calls. One to Tommy, my old college roommate, now a divorce lawyer with a taste for blood. The other to Alan, my cousin who worked in IT security and owed me a favor for bailing him out of a bar fight in 2017. By noon, Alan had a recovery tool running on her phone's deleted messages. By 3 p.m., Tommy had a strategy file drafted that made my stomach turn, because it meant this was real. I wasn't just gathering evidence. I was dismantling a marriage. But not for pride. For protection. My daughter was the only reason I hadn't already kicked the door off its hinges and tossed her phone into a garbage disposal. No, this had to be clean. Documented. Watertight. Let Billy and my wife play house. I'd be the one pulling the rug out from under their foundation while they were still picking out curtains. The next few days were a performance I'll be proud of for the rest of my life. I still kissed her goodbye. I still asked how her day was. I even brought home wine and takeout one night, because that's what clueless husbands do, right? All the while, my attorney was drafting a custody petition and financial disclosures. I wasn't just reacting, I was reclaiming. Then something happened that nearly made me laugh. Billy messaged her during dinner. I saw it light up her phone screen while she stepped away to check on laundry. "Soon, babe. Just a few more weeks." He's suspicious, but he doesn't have the guts to act. Stay sweet. No guts, huh? All right, Billy. Let's see how sweet things taste when the hammer drops. The funny thing about betrayal is how ordinary the days still look. Your wife brews coffee like always. Your daughter asks about a science project. You put on your tie, lace your shoes, and leave the house with a kiss on your cheek, knowing damn well that same cheek is getting laughed at behind your back. But I wasn't angry anymore. Not the way I thought I'd be. I was focused, sharper than I'd felt in years. That Friday, I called in sick. Not because I was sick, but because I needed to make moves. The kind that required daylight and silence. And a very particular skill I picked up from a side project years ago, penetration testing. See, once upon a time, I helped a firm test its network security, ethical hacking, they called it. I learned how to navigate company systems, recover emails, peek at server logs, and locate digital footprints people thought were long gone. Billy from work didn't stand a chance. My cousin Alan came through again, slipping me access to their company's Slack channel and Outlook calendars. I wasn't inside the system exactly, but I had eyes. And that was enough. Turns out, Billy wasn't just a coworker. He was her supervisor. Which meant their affair wasn't just personal. It was a legal nightmare waiting to unfold. If there's one thing HR departments love more than holiday potlucks, it's a scandal that can get the company sued. I screenshotted messages that had flavor. He wasn't subtle. He wasn't smart. And he sure as hell didn't understand discretion. "Let's book that suite again next week. You and that red thing? Unreal. Can't wait to make it official." He's already checked out, right? Play it soft. And my personal favorite, from 2 days prior. HR's clueless. "We'll ride this out, and you'll be mine for good." Ride this out, huh? I copied those messages, time-stamped everything, and started building a private portfolio labeled Operation Curtain Call. When I sent the package to Tommy, my lawyer, he replied with a single word. Perfect. While they planned their big reveal, I was crafting mine. Only mine would include a little bonus feature, professional and personal ruin. But I wasn't done. I had to be certain, undeniable. So that night, I planted a voice recorder in her car. Before you raise an eyebrow, let me be clear. This wasn't paranoia. This was insurance. I'd already found hotel charges on our joint credit card and emails hidden in a travel folder on her iCloud account. The truth was already there. The recorder was just the bow on the package. I waited 3 days. Acted normal. Played dumb. Until she left for what she claimed was a late client dinner. And I retrieved the recorder after she got home. I didn't want to listen. I had to. And there it was. Her voice, soft and sugary. "He doesn't suspect a thing," she said, laughing. I could tell him the sky was green, and he'd nod and go back to his spreadsheet. Billy's voice. "That's what I love about you. You handle him like a pro. Just a little longer." And then, silence. The kind of silence that doesn't need words to cut deep. I sat there with the recorder in my palm, my wedding band on the table, and the overwhelming realization that they had no idea what was coming. That was their fatal mistake. They thought I'd unravel. But I was knitting something instead. Something beautiful. Something final. A lie has a rhythm. Once you hear it enough, you can count the beats. Where she hesitates. Where she over-explains. Where her smile is just a hair too wide. I've been listening to that rhythm for months without realizing it. Now I was the conductor. The morning after the recording, I watched her pour coffee, humming like someone without a secret in the world. She kissed me on the cheek, habit, not love, and said she had to prep for a big quarterly review with Billy. Right. Billy. I smiled and told her she looked beautiful. And then I followed her. Not in my car. No, I had something better. A friend of mine from college, Darius, was a private investigator with a talent for quiet entrances and quieter exits. A week earlier, I'd slid him a flash drive full of texts, dates, hotel reservations, and one simple sentence. Give me eyes. He delivered. Photos. Timestamped. Geotagged. My wife and Billy entering the same suite. Leaving hours later. Her hair a little messier. His shirt untucked. They were bold. Arrogant. But I needed them to be. I needed them to believe they were invisible. That's when people make the loudest mistakes. The real masterpiece, though, wasn't the surveillance. It was the email. I drafted it slowly, over several nights, sitting at my desk while she slept 10 feet away. It was addressed to 3 people. The VP of Human Resources, Billy's direct supervisor, and the company's general counsel. Subject line, inappropriate conduct, confidential documentation attached. Inside, a bulletproof case. Screenshots. Photos. Quotes. Dates. Voice recordings. A timeline so detailed it read like a courtroom script. I didn't editorialize. I didn't accuse. I just presented the facts. I scheduled the email for a Monday morning, right before their quarterly review. Then I deleted all traces of it, shut the laptop, and went to bed beside her. She curled against me in her sleep. I didn't move. That weekend, I played it perfect. Family breakfast. Grocery runs. A movie with our daughter. I even made dinner on Sunday night. She texted Billy during dessert. I know because the preview popped up on her lock screen. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Missed that smile. He replied within seconds. Big week ahead. You're my favorite part. I sipped my wine and smiled. Monday came. She left early. Dressed sharp. Confident. I kissed her on the forehead like always. Watched her back out of the driveway. Then I checked the clock. 7:58 a.m. 2 minutes until the email hit inboxes. I poured a second cup of coffee, opened the living room window, and waited. At 8:23, she called. Didn't answer. At 8:31, she texted. Call me. Now. Didn't reply. At 8:46, another. Something's going on. Did you say anything? I let her sweat. At 9:07 a.m., my lawyer called. HR just suspended Billy pending an investigation. Your wife's name is now attached to a potential workplace ethics violation. You want to proceed with the custody plan we discussed? Yes, I said. Let's begin. The silence after that was beautiful. The kind that falls before an avalanche. By noon, the call stopped. She'd sent 5 texts, left 2 voicemails. I didn't respond to any of them. Not out of spite. Out of strategy. That afternoon, I picked up our daughter like usual. We got ice cream. Talked about dinosaurs. I smiled, nodded, laughed. The world could burn around me, but when I looked at her, my girl, my light, it reminded me why I was doing this right. Clean. Quiet. Complete. We got home a little after 4. I was in the kitchen helping her with homework when the door burst open like she forgot how to use a handle. Her heels clicked hard against the floor like she was trying to stomp out the panic. There you are, she said, trying to sound casual. Her tone was off. Too bright, like cheap paint over rust. I looked up. Hey, you're home early. Her eyes darted to our daughter. Sweetheart, she said. Why don't you go up and wash your hands before dinner? The kid nodded and skipped off, humming some made-up song about volcanoes and glitter. And then it was just the 2 of us. She took a step closer. Did you do something? I tilted my head, playing dumb. Do something? Her mouth opened, then closed again. She blinked, searching for the right lie and realizing they were all wearing Finn. Billy's been suspended. HR's investigating him. And me. Her voice cracked just a little. Someone sent stuff. Photos. Messages. Even audio. They think it was you. I let that hang there. Then, was it? Shouldn't I be the one asking you questions? I said, finally meeting her gaze. Like who Billy is. Or how long I've been living in a sitcom where I play the husband with the dunce hat. Her lips parted. She tried to say something. I raised my hand. Stopped her. I know, I said calm. I know everything. Every message. Every hotel. Every lie you fed me with a straight face while tucking our daughter into bed like it didn't mean a thing. Silence. The air between us turned dense. Still, like the moment before lightning. I didn't mean for it to. Don't, I snapped. Don't insult both of us by pretending you didn't mean for it to happen. You planned this. You made room for it in your calendar. You lied so well it became your native language. She shook her head, arms crossed now. Defensive. I was going to tell you. I didn't know how. Sure you did, I said, stepping forward. You were going to wait until Billy lined everything up for you. New life. New plan. And then you were going to drop me like spoiled leftovers. Am I warm? Tears welled in her eyes. Real? Maybe. But I'd spent too long giving her the benefit of the doubt. That currency was gone. And then she said it. The one-line cheaters always fall back on when their script runs out. Can't we just move past this? For her, that's when I laughed. Not loud. Not cruel. Just cold. You already made decisions for her, I said. You brought another man into her orbit. You decided I wasn't enough, not just as a husband, but as a father. You don't get to use her now as a shield. Her face broke, finally. The mask cracked. Not because she was sorry, because she realized the ground beneath her was vanishing. Fast. I'm not mad, I told her. That's what should scare you. And I meant it. I wasn't angry. I was done. Past the storm. Already planning the rebuild while she stood in the wreckage, still trying to tape the walls back together. I reached for my folder on the counter. The one I'd kept hidden. Inside, copies of the emails. Financial records. Custody petition. Her affair. Her negligence. Her moral implosion. All documented. Already. This is real, I said. It's not a threat. It's a guarantee. Her knees buckled. She sat down hard. And for the first time, I saw her for who she really was. Not the wife I loved. Not the partner I'd believed in. Just a person. A flawed, selfish person who thought I'd never see the truth. Too bad for her. I didn't just see it. I made it visible. The next morning, she tried to pretend the world hadn't cracked open. Poured coffee. Fed our daughter breakfast. Even made small talk about the weather like she hadn't spent the last 48 hours watching her affair detonate her entire life. But I'd already shifted gears. This wasn't about her anymore. It was about my daughter. About protecting what mattered. Because betrayal's one thing. You want to toss our marriage in the trash, fine. But dragging our kid into it? Letting some overgelled desk jockey play bonus dad on weekends? No, not happening. At 9 o'clock sharp, I met with Tommy, my lawyer, and now my favorite person on earth. We sat in his office while he slid a folder across the table. Inside, the full petition for primary custody. Judges don't look kindly on infidelity, he said, tapping the document. Especially when it's tied to workplace misconduct, dishonesty, and disruption of the child's stable environment. Good, I said, because I'm not after revenge anymore. I'm after stability. Tommy nodded, impressed. We'll file by Friday. Temporary orders first. Once that's approved, she'll have to live by the court's schedule, not her emotions. Exactly. She could play dress up with Billy in hotel rooms, all she wanted. But when it came to our daughter, every minute would be measured, documented, supervised if necessary. I wasn't playing chess anymore. I was drawing the board. That night, I came home and told her everything. The filing, the schedule, the fact that she'd be served within the week. I'm not keeping her from you. I told her, steady as stone. But this ends now. The secrets, the lies. You don't get to rewrite the narrative with half-truths and crocodile tears. We'll do this the right way. Through court. She went pale, then red, then pale again. You're punishing me, she said, voice cracking. No, I said. I'm protecting her from you. From bad decisions. From instability. From watching her father get traded out like some expired appliance while her mother plays house with her boss. That shut her up. And for once, she didn't have a script ready. She sat down at the table. Quiet. Hands shaking. She looked like someone who realized, maybe for the first time, that the safety net she thought she had was cut clean through. She tried one last card. Can't we just do this without lawyers? I looked her dead in the eye. You made this a game of secrets and deception. I'm just making sure there's a scoreboard now. The rest of the week moved fast. Papers were served. Temporary custody orders went into review. I opened a separate bank account, rerouted my paychecks, and froze the joint credit cards. I wasn't leaving her penniless, but she wasn't going to keep swiping spa days on my dime while I packed lunchboxes and answered school emails. She cried a lot, whispered into her phone late at night. I assumed Billy was getting the same panic she used to reserve for me. Good. Let him carry the load now. Let him hear her spiral at 2 a.m. about child support hearings and asset disclosures. Let him feel the weight of the crown he stole. I slept like a rock.